Okay, it says I'm live. Okay, so how do I share this? All right, everybody, hold on. We're getting there. I am live somewhere. Now I need to figure out how to share it with you guys. Okay, share. Here we go. Copy this. Hold on. All right, guys. Here you go. I'm live, and here's the link where I'm live. Should be able to see. All right, guys. So if you saw that, click over and join in the new live chat. Okay, I've got 2 people over here now. Holy crap. This has been a lot of fun. I'm glad that I prepared for this like a half hour before and was on early and feeling really good that this was going to work perfectly, flawlessly, right? Oh, guys, it's been a long day, man. I tell you what, I don't know if any of you guys have kids or not, but I do, and it's killing me slowly. All right, adapt and overcome. Yes, Curtis, thank you. That's what we're going to do. That's all we can do. Okay, so welcome. So now we've got a few of you over here. Hopefully everybody else can jump over. We probably lost half of everybody anyways because of that fun problem. I'm going to tell, in case other people join, I'm going to say, sorry, there was a problem with the chat, but if you go to the link above, you can join the live one. All right, if you're not drinking, you should be by now. I know I am. So welcome. Let's act like none of that happened. The last 10 minutes of our lives, it was just a game. It was not real. Curtis has 2 kids. Brett says he has 2 kids. All right, well, how old are your kids? Hi, Mo Leisures. Mine are 7 and 10, and they are just straight up hot garbage. I'm not even kidding. Like, with the coronavirus lockdown and everything, they are just, it's been hell on earth. I'm drinking, this is Founders Centennial IPA, 7.2% ABV. I need that kind of alcohol content to get through the day now. So 1 and 5, Curtis, 11 and 10. All right. Yeah, cool. Your 5-year-old wants to go off-roading. That's cool. Yeah, my kids do love it. They love off-roading. They love overlanding. It's funny because we did Cub Scouts for a while and we went on those camp trips, but they're like in a big field usually, and you're not really allowed to play in the fires and you can't collect wood or anything. And they always, Mike's Hard Lemonade, nice. They always make fun of it because they're like, this isn't real camping, Dad. Like, we can't use the chainsaw or, collect firewood or go wherever we want and just set up camp. So kids are fun. Kids are fun. All right. It's working. Thank you guys for joining me. Sorry for the inconvenience and the confusion of the whole thing not working, but I'm stuck with it and I appreciate it. So let's dive into tonight's topic for real. And if you're on the radio, so just to kind of throw it out there, it doesn't look like we have anybody over on the chat over on the radio station too, but just to avoid confusion, because I know last time it was a little confusing. It was my first time going live on YouTube, and I was on the overland.com at the same time. Thursday nights are like all things overlanding night on overland or overlandradio.com. So I kind of, just to combine them and make it even more useful for everybody, I decided to just do both at the same time, which clearly is working really well for me. But so if you hear out, I'll say which chat it's on. Right now it looks like YouTube chat is the real one. That's the main one that everybody's on. But if somebody says something from the radio, I'll say, hey, such and such from the radio chat said, ABC. All things overlanding night. You got it, buddy. So tonight's topic was talking about our rigs, right? And I talked about the Cherokee a little bit a second ago. Now, as we've discussed, a lot of us have kids and stuff. So I kind of decided, you know what? It's just too much to just go bash my vehicle into trees and stuff. And I want a more reliable, slightly newer vehicle that I can take camping, but I could also drive to work if I needed to. I could do other things with, and my goal is not to go out and just like overcome the biggest obstacles I can find with the risk of trashing my vehicle. So that's where I went with the Xterra. So post up in the comments, guys, and let me know, like, what vehicle do you drive? So I'm really relying on you guys in this chat because I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear, like, what kind of rig do you have? And you don't have to go super into detail yet, but just tell me, like, year, make, and model of the vehicle that you've got, and what you're working on right now. So Cool. All right, I'm catching up with chat here. All right, so yeah, post up in there and just let me know what you're driving. So Curtis says 2013 F-150 FX4 Super Crew with the EcoBoost motor. Nice. Those EcoBoosts are monsters, man. Yeah, Mo Leisures. I know you guys drive an Xterra. That's a nice one. Not biased at all, you know. And then Brett's got a 91 S10 Blazer two-door, two-wheel drive. Man, you are a man. You're rocking the two-wheel drive. Two-door Blazer. I like that. Well, you're a solo guy then, right? Do you take the kids with you in the truck? Oh, here's Carl, 15, Nissan Xterra Pro 4X last year. Nice. And Pro 4X. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm biased towards the Nissans, but yeah. Yeah, well, that's a pretty good pick, Curtis. Something for towing and off-roading, that EcoBoost F-150. Those are nice trucks. Brett says on his S10, he's got a lift and lockers and just got new tires. Tires make all the difference, right? So if you've got the right tires, you can work with two-wheel drive. I went on my West Virginia trip, like, God, what was it? It feels like forever ago now with this virus stuff, but a few months ago we went and there was a guy with a Tundra that had some really good MT tires on it, and he took the whole trip in two-wheel drive, and I think I put mine in 4 low in a couple spots just because I was like, I was on ATs and I'm like, I don't want to be the guy that looks like an idiot. But he said he did the whole thing in two-wheel drive, so there's nothing wrong with two-wheel drive. So Curtis says with F-150, working on suspension and tires first, leveling, slight lift, and 35-inch Nitto Ridge grapplers. It's a good choice. Brett says full crew goes, wife and both kids in the truck. Do they go in the S10, in the two-door S10? Does it have like the little jump seats in the back? Is it one of those S10s? Or do you just throw them in the bed of the truck and tell them to lay down so the police don't see them? Just a tiny little truck. West Virginia trip was in August. Yeah. Oh, hey. Stay dirty, my friends. What's up, Andrew? Oh, we got Carlos. Carlos, thanks for joining. This dude, man, he sent me this picture earlier. He's got an 05 Volvo XC90. He just put, what is it, a 3-inch, 3.5-inch lift on it? And bigger tires. It looks so cool. Post up your Instagram in the chat, Carlos, so everybody can go follow you, because this truck is rad. I'm telling you. 3/4 bench in the rear. Oh, okay, yeah. So I remember those S10s with the little benches in the rear. Those S10s were cool, man. Whenever I first got out of college, or was just about to get out of college, like early 2000s, I'm dating myself, but I was selling Chevys. Like, I just got out of school and I'm like, I'm gonna sell cars because I like cars. And I was selling those Chevy S10s like those last few years that they came out, and those things were bulletproof, man. They were around for forever. All right, there's Carlos's Instagram. Seriously, you should go check him out on Instagram because this Volvo is cool. So anyway, so cool. All right, thanks for sharing your rigs in there, guys. So let's kind of talk about those rigs. Let's talk about, what have you done? Like, what's been the lifespan of your vehicle, right? So when I bought mine, I'll start with that. And you guys post up, what your kind of mod list is and what you've done and sort of built up your vehicle over the years while I kind of talk about mine, and then I'll hit all yours, okay? So mine's an 05 Xterra SE, so not the Pro 4X. I don't have the e-locker or anything cool like that, but it is 4-wheel drive. And I bought it stock 4 years ago. It was an older gentleman from like a nearby town here, and it had been his daughter's vehicle, but it was an 05 with like 94,000 miles, and I stole it from the guy for like $7,000. Like, it was a great deal. And that was 4 years ago. Now it has 133,000 some miles on it, bulletproof. I basically took it from stock. I've been through a few iterations on the suspension so far. But I've got about a 2.5-inch lift with Niztec MK84 coilovers on the front. I've got Freedom off-road upper control arms, just replaced the ball joints on the front. I've done hubs all the way around just as maintenance items. I flooded my rear axle seal when I went on a Manistee trip a couple years ago, got stuck in a creek for like 15, 20 minutes, and it flooded my rear axle, which was super fun. I've got new axle seals in the rear and new diff fluid and all that. Everything's new in the rear. That was my fault though, not the truck's. I was stupid. So I've lifted it a couple 2.5 inches. Got some Bilsteins off an off-road trim Xterra in the rear with a rough country 2.5-inch shackle lift. AJ's Rock Rails super sliders on the side, a mix of P&P and Hefty Fab, 3/16" steel armor all the way across the bottom, except for the gas tank and the radiator. Those are the only two pieces I don't have because I didn't have an aftermarket bumper that I can mount armor up to, but I do have a Wham hidden on the front with a Smittybilt 9500 winch in it. So that's nice. I've got the solar panel on the hood. If you guys follow me a little bit, you've seen I just posted up a sort of a how I did it video recently, but got the solar panel on the hood, and that feeds to the back where I've got a spare battery, deep cycle battery that I run all my accessories off of. That's in my drawer system that I had a buddy help me build in the rear. Big 36" slide for like fridge freezer, or right now I'm just using it with a cooler and a water side rear seat bottom and seat back just to give myself more room because the drawer system kind of went over it anyway, so it was useless. So I bought about 7-8 inches of vertical space back there with that. I just did that like a weekend ago, and I just finished up my DIY rooftop tent. I've got a lot of lighting and stuff on it too, but it's for the most part it's pretty much stock. I think I have a K&N and drop-in air filter in my truck, but I haven't touched the engine or transmission because in overlanding, it's about reliability and like not really messing with it. I think like I love to modify stuff, but most of the time when I do it, it just makes it worse. Right. So in this case, I was like, look, the engine and transmission are bulletproof as is. I don't really need more power for overlanding. Like the VQ40 has plenty of torque and power. So I just left most of that alone. If I ever do replace anything, it'll be because it wears out and I'll do it for maintenance sakes. So let's touch on you guys. So Curtis says, bought mine last year with 100,000 miles on it, have 130 now. Daily driver with a long commute. Yeah, that's always fun. Mod list is suspension, tires, radio, and some extra lighting. That's smart. Yeah. Well, and like I've talked about this before, but I really screwed up when I started modding my truck. Like before I ever even drove it, like I drove it home and parked it in the garage for like 2 months and just modded it before I ever took a trip, which is the totally wrong way to do it. I put a big lift on it. I put 33" ATs on it. Never even had it off-road or anything like that. I just started modding it because I was excited and I wanted to. So like really starting slow and just going on trips and like starting to see where the weaknesses are and then overcome them, I feel like is the smart way to do it. So I think you're doing it better than I did. Curtis says, looking at 2.5" Fox coilovers for the front and 2" rears. Those are cool. Curtis says that the solar panel is like my trademark. Definitely notice the exterior anywhere with that. Yeah, I tell you what, I do enjoy like making all the soccer moms and stuff around here. Like look at my truck with the big box for the do-it-yourself rooftop tent and like 4 hella lights on the top and the ditch lights and the bumper and the winch and the solar panel. And I took the rear cladding off, which just makes it look like a piece of trash, but I like it. I think it looks mean. And like you can see all the suspension up underneath the back and the big 33" MTs under there. So yeah, believe me, it's noticeable. We go out to the parking lot and my kids go, I like it because it's easy to find your truck. And I'm like, yeah, it's taller than everything else and it just has like crap strapped to the roof of it. So that does make it a little bit easier. All right, Carl says Shockworks front and rear bumpers. That's nice stuff. With high lift tire carrier, that's badass. Rock sliders and full Under Armour front and rear, Bilstein 5100s and 2" lift. That's perfect, man. That's what I should have done with my truck. If I wasn't so cheap, I would have something like that. That's awesome. All right, Andrew says 2018 tiny truck. Yeah, right. He has a Power Wagon, by the way. Stock on 37s. All the toys are on the trailer. He does have a badass trailer. I meant to make a really like comprehensive video of my West Virginia trip, but I didn't. I was the only one videoing, and I kind of felt like a jerk making everyone stop all the time. So I only got a little bit of footage, but we did a pretty epic water crossing and we did some really cool stuff. So I made like a little trailer that's like 3 or 4 minutes long. But so if you go to my YouTube channel, if you haven't seen it, just look for the West Virginia trailer or whatever video, and you'll see his Power Wagon in there. But he has this badass trailer with like a fridge freezer in it and like all the toys, tons of like traction mats. And you have like an awning with the walls, the zip out walls and stuff. And that's what you were sleeping in on the trip, right, Andrew? But this Power Wagon is pretty sweet. And it had no problems going ever. Like I was definitely the one struggling on our trip. Not that I struggle. I mean, I did fine. I was good. No, I was fine. But I mean, all these other guys had like giant, like full-size trucks with 35s and 37s on them. And I'm on my little 33s, ATs over here, just trying not to look stupid. Mo Leisure says 1.5" front lift, Bilstein 5100 shocks, 1.5" RevTech, add a leaf, got the 6-speed MT. That's pretty cool. The 6 MT trucks are cool. 162,000 bought it, 132,000. Here's the thing. I love manual vehicles. And this is like, I love manual vehicles. When I had my Z, it was a manual. Like all the sports cars I've ever had, I wanted to be manuals. My Infiniti is not, and I kind of regret that, but it has paddle shifters, so it's passable. But when I'm off-roading, like, I don't know if it's just that I'm lazy or what. Like, I love having an automatic when I'm off-roading because, like, it's all about throttle modulation, right? Like, and you could lose all that momentum if you have to shift gears or, you know what I mean? Like, I just kind of feel like, me personally, and you guys attack me if you want in the comments, but I kind of feel like, for me personally, an automatic off-road is perfect because then, like, I've got to focus on, you know, tire placement and obstacles and trees on all the sides. And I know that sounds really lazy and stupid, but I've just always really liked it. I rode with a guy once, a friend of mine, who had an old, I think it was a CJ Wrangler, and he had air lockers all the way around, and he had a manual. And I just felt like he was working so hard to get that thing over everything because he's constantly shifting, and he had really weird gearing in it and stuff specifically for off-roading. But like, I was just like, this is really cool, but like, you're just constantly shifting and picking different gears and stuff. And I just want to drive. I just want to go when I'm off-road. Now, if I'm racing, I want to have more control over it, but like off-roading, I'm lazy. All right. Curtis says, what did you say? Yeah, I'm debating on just hitting it out there in my stock FX4 setup, but I know ground clearance and tires will definitely be needed. Yeah. And full sizes are tricky too. Like, if you've seen, I haven't released this yet, but I did an interview with Grant from Arkansas Off-Road. That dude has a pretty cool TJ. But he just dropped a 26-minute video. I've watched it 2 times now, but they went on an epic Ozark National Forest trip. And there's like 6 or 7 rigs, and there is some body damage happening in there. And they aren't even full-size trucks. Like, I think one of them was a Colorado ZR2. And I mean, it's like cringy. You can just hear the taillights ripping off on trees and stuff. Like, there was pretty much everybody got body damage, but it was a pretty rad video. So yeah, so the FX4 is cool, but just be careful, man. Watch out for those trees. Brett says, I don't mess with drivetrain upgrade due to reliability. Yep, I agree. All aftermarket electrical is isolated from factory. Solar panel and battery coming soon. Just build a massive roof rack. That's awesome. That sounds really cool. I'd like to see that. All right. Overland Addict Chad says it's Mad Max. That's pretty much what my truck looks like. Like, I mean, it's, you know, it's not for everybody. I know I've got some haters. That's fine. Curtis says, how do you guys like the Bilsteins? I like mine. I mean, you know, they're highly regarded for a reason, I feel like sometimes they're overpriced, but especially since there are some available on like the off-road trim exteriors, which is what I have. I bought my rear shocks. They had maybe, it came off of a newer off-road trim, and the guy had maybe put like 30,000 miles on them and upgraded, and he sold them to me for $50 for the pair shipped to me. So I don't even know how he made any money off of them, but they've been great. And I've had them on there for like 2.5 years, and they're still just working perfectly. Mo Leisure says he's upgrading to the 33-inch tires soon. That's good. That's a good move. That was one of the first things I did, and it definitely paid off. Gave me a lot more ground clearance and helped a lot. Brett says paid $900 6 months ago. Lots left to do working on interior storage system. That's awesome. See, like, I love those builds, right? Like, go to, after this, if you're really bored, go to my Facebook page or Instagram, wherever you want to go. I don't care. Go to my Facebook page though, and like post up, and just, maybe I'll make a post after this and say, hey, everybody post pictures of your rigs from tonight. Cause I'd love to see these things. Like, I just love the idea. Like, I spent $7,000 on my Xterra, but I still kind of wish like I'd bought like a Gen 1, like 2000 Xterra or something for like $2,000, $2,500. Cause then I could have made it. Yeah, I could have sassed it out and, you know, engine swapped and done all kinds of crazy stuff. And I still would have been less money than I am in mine. Cool. So, all right. So Curtis says Power Wagon. Yeah. Full-size crew. Yeah. That thing is huge. He had 2 giant dogs with him the whole time in that truck, and they had lounging room. Brett says he doesn't even have 30s. That's okay. I mean, you know, it's not a pissing competition, right? Like, you do what you can. I've seen people on like stock Tacomas and stuff take stuff that people on super modded, like, you know, Dodge 2500s get stuck on. So don't feel bad about it. Yeah, exactly. Curtis says, run what you brung, man. Don't always need monster truck tires. That is true. I feel like the 33s are good, but then I see these guys with like 35s, and I'm like, oh, they're so cool, but I don't want to do all the work to make them fit. Leisure says they only need first gear. Yeah. I mean, you know, if you're climbing, then that makes sense. Brett says he's lazy off-road too, automatic all the way, drive a 6-speed manual daily. That's perfect. I think if I had like a 6-speed sports car and then my truck, like that's the perfect combination. Brett says, I fear no body damage. I have a welder. Ooh, Chad with the spicy language. They YouTube held that comment. They weren't going to let it through. I had to manually override it because you said badass in the comments. I should probably change my settings, I guess, because YouTube clearly doesn't know this channel at all. All right, so I've taken us down the rabbit hole. I've addressed all the comments, so thank you guys for commenting. So next, so that's cool. So we've talked about rigs. We've talked about mods. I love that we have a good mix here, and we might have lost Carlos, but his Volvo, man, I know, I'm telling you. Yeah, Rebel. Yeah, you got it, Curtis. Now I'm starting to feel a little attacked, a little made fun of here. I'm kidding. You're fine. But yeah, the Volvo is super badass too. So Carlos, if you're still there. Okay, there. Well, he did say the Bilsteins and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay. Post up your mods too, Carlos, and I'll jump into those. But yeah, that Volvo is super cool. We were just chatting about it earlier. So let's move on to the next part though, as Carlos types his stuff out if he's still there. So like, what was I going to talk about? Oh, so what have you learned? So we talked a little bit about, how it's better, right? Better, in my opinion, to just go out and test your rig maybe before you make a bunch of the mods, right? Like I said, I kind of did it the wrong way. I bought the truck and started modding it for like 2 months, didn't even drive the thing. Yes, Carlos, we do need more lifted Volvos. Like I did all the things before I ever even took it out, and literally that's cost me a lot of money, right? Like I have, so like I mentioned earlier, I've switched out my suspension like 3 different times, just because of the stupidity of it, right? Like I'm like, I need 33-inch tires, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. They were great tires, and I still have them in my garage, and I may swap them on and off, if the MTs get worn down. But I bought Kenda cleavers off eBay, but I got a set of 4 33 by, I think they were 11.5-inch wide tires for like $550 shipped to my house. And then I drove them down to Discount Tire and said, here, throw these on there. And then later on, I found like a used 33-inch AT, like a Firestone 33-inch AT that was the same size, and threw it on the spare. So I actually finally had a spare. But then, as I got going, then I'm like, okay, I want to be more capable. Like I don't just want to have 33s for the sake of 3s. I should have done MTs. And so now I've had to buy a second set of wheels and tires. I've got a giant tower of my old wheels and tires sitting in my garage that I have to store now. Like it's just, to me, it just makes more sense to get out and take the trips and learn from the trips and then make the modifications accordingly, right? Like my new DIY rooftop tent is a perfect example of that. So I started off tent camping because that was just my experience. And I was like, yeah, tent camping's okay. But then you wake up you throw your little air mattress down. It doesn't really do a whole lot. You wake up the next morning, you're sore. You didn't sleep really well. You fell off the stupid thing. You're laying on the ground and your arm hurts. And so then I was like, you know what? I want to try hammock camping. And I bought a hammock. And I bought the cheapest one that I could possibly find, and it was garbage. And then I bought another one, and then I bought a third one, and then I heard it from somebody else that there was this other one that's really good, and I bought that one. So I had like 4 or 5 hammocks, which I still have somewhere in a closet. And I loved hammock camping. I would still put hammock camping up there in like my top 2. Like the rooftop tent I really like, but the hammock camping is like right up there with it. It's super comfortable, but you've got to set everything up, and you've got to put up a tarp, and you know what I mean? It's not, I know I sound super, super lazy here, but when you're going to camp, right, especially if you're doing like a 3 or 4 day trip and you're tired and you drive for like 10, 11, 12 hours during the day and you're on all these trails and you're kind of white knuckling some of it and you get kind of exhausted, then I just don't want to go to camp and spend 20 minutes setting up all my stuff and then still not even sleep great, right? Like, I know I'm definitely showing my age here, right? I just want like a Serta full-size queen mattress in like a camper. That's what I want an RV that I can just drive from parking lot to parking. No, that's not what I want. I want the adventure. I love the adventure, right? But I just want, ease of setup and ease of teardown, which is why I went with the rooftop tent. And so it took me years and years to get to that point and lots of trial and error. But I definitely wasted a lot of time and had a lot of bad nights, sleeping or not sleeping as a result of that. So what do you guys think? Like, I want you guys to post up down below, like, what have you learned from your trips that, you know, maybe you didn't realize at first? Like, what did you miss when you first started overlanding? Or did you do a bunch of modifications and then find out you were totally wrong? Or were you right? Like, post up your experiences with your trips and your current setup. And just like tell me what you guys were thinking when you started and if you went down the right trail or not. I mean, to be honest, I don't think it ever really stops, right? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with making mistakes and then growing from them. But I try to like help people, right? Like warn them like, oh, hey, I can just tell you right now, like this thing from eBay, this Chinese fan thing is going to break the first time you use it. So like there's certain things that I can recommend and certain things I can't. So I try to help with that stuff, but you're always going to have stuff that you try that doesn't work, right? So Curtis says, let me catch up here. Curtis says, saw a dude that set up a hammock inside his exterior. I've seen that. I tried to do that. Has anybody else tried to do that? Like, it didn't work at all. Like, I literally tried. I shortened up the straps as much as I could. I had it like, I think I ran it out and around the hinge of the rear hatch and then out through the front window, or maybe to the grab handle. I think that's what I did. The grab handle up in the passenger's front to like the rear driver's side hinge. And I was still laying on the ground. Like, it wasn't even close. And I'm 6'2" and I'm fat. So like, I'm sure I was sagging that thing more than I needed to, but I was like, I would need like a little kid's hammock or like a burlap sack or something with ropes tied to the corners of it to hold me up above the floor of the Xterra. But that is a cool idea. I've definitely heard of people doing it, but they just must not be as fat as me. Yeah, Brett says camping should be relaxing, lazy is acceptable. Thank you. Appreciate that. Mo Leisure says 15-minute setup is my goal. Yep. See, I mean, that's, you know, I mean, even being realistic. So with the rooftop tent, I mean, I kid you not. I've set it up once now and slept in it, but I've opened it and closed it a million times. I just added today a bungee strap to sort of pull the tent material in so I don't have to worry about it billowing out when I'm closing it. So I'm still making changes and modifications to it. But so I've opened it probably 6-7 different times. And like, I could set that rooftop tent up in under a minute. Easy. I mean, pop the ladder out of the back of the truck, extend the telescoping ladder, lean it against the thing, undo 2 clips, and it's open. And my sleeping bag and everything's in there, and I could lay down and go to sleep. And that to me is magical. Like, I'm so excited about that. Okay, we got Carlos back. His laptop died. Chad Overland Addict says Brett is correct about lazy being acceptable. Great. Carlos, glad you're back and your laptop is not dead or plugged in. Curtis says, first started making trips with my Outback, and then thank God I had skid plates and an awning, was mostly doing beach driving in the Outer Banks. Outbacks are cool. I learn a lot, especially now that I don't drive the Xterra all the time. Like, the gas mileage of a Subaru and still having that capability is pretty cool. I think my thing is, like, I really want to do like the Grant Wilbanks, Arkansas off-road trails, right? Like, I want to do the super dicey, rocky tree roots, narrow down trees. Like, that's the stuff I want to do. Like, I want to spend a day going 10 miles. Like, I know that sounds crazy, especially when I'm talking about how lazy I am when I'm setting up at camp, but like, those are the kind of trails I like. Like, when we went to West Virginia, there were a couple of these trails that were like super tight on both sides, just scraping down the side of the truck and rocky. And we're going down, going through water crossings, climbing up big rock faces and stuff. And it was awesome. Like, it was so much fun. And I just feel that's why I haven't really looked at the Subaru, because even if you lift them and all that stuff, I just feel like you just don't have the clearance for that kind of stuff. But if you're doing like fire roads and even some like pretty gnarly stuff, just maybe not the pure rock climbing stuff, you can get by with a lot and get 25, 30 miles to the gallon, right? And I get 14 if I'm lucky. So I kind of am jealous of that. I bet they're great in beach driving too. Chad from Overland Addict says, saw rooftop tents and fell in love, had to have one. Yep, and all your pictures of your Jeep with that on top look amazing. So you were probably an inspiration for me wanting one too. But I'm too cheap to buy one, so I made one, which is really cheap. Yeah, Brett, you know what is funny? Now that I have the rooftop tent, so Brett says we wanted a rooftop tent, but ground tents are cheaper. I've always been super cheap, as I've mentioned many times. I had the Coleman Instant Up tent, like the one that is basically like one of those trash bags or trash cans that like pop out and you just open it and throw it and it just pops open. It was about $50. So it was really cheap. And I loved that tent. Setup was really easy and quick. But now I have this rooftop tent and I'm all excited about it. Now I feel like now I see these Gazelle tents and I see all these people posting these nice tents and I'm like, you know what? They're only like a couple $100. it's not like we're talking like $800, right? Like some of the Oz tent stuff is really cool, but it's so expensive because it lasts forever, right? But so now I see all these tents and I'm like, man, I could have, maybe it was because I had such crappy, cheap tents that I hated tent camping, right? Like maybe if I had one of those Gazelles, you just go pop, pop, and it pops open and it's actually a well-made tent that's not going to destroy itself after 5 uses. Maybe I'd be okay with a ground tent, right? And maybe it'd be easier to set up and quicker, and same with tearing it down. So I have no hate for ground tents at all. I will say though, like, so I looked at a Gazelle recently and it was like $300, I think, and it's a beautiful tent. But I think I'm less than that total in a rooftop tent. And again, it's click, click, push it up, and I'm in bed, you know? Now, granted, here's the thing. Mine is literally a one-person DIY rooftop tent. Like, I might be able to squeeze a kid in, like, down at my feet with his feet back towards me if I'm lucky. But it is a one-person tent, which is kind of my intent because I go solo most of the time. But so if you have a family, that's not going to work, right? I mean, you're going to have to spend the money and get a bigger 4-person, 6-person. I'm pretty sure there are 6-person rooftop tents. One of those big, nice rooftop tents for all those people, right? Andrew says, I too want a queen size mattress to sleep on. That's in the plans for the new trailer. See, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like that Primal Outdoors guy with that really nice little like camper that he pulls everywhere. Like that just seems really rad to me, to just be able to like pull off to the side of the road and open a door and get in and actually have like a bed. Like if I was going to do this, if I ever get to the point where I'm like doing this, not full time, but like taking a month-long trip, that may become very appealing. Right now, I would love to have a trailer, but I just don't have anywhere to store it, and my HOA would kill me, and I hate HOAs, but they'll still kill me. All right, Malesia says, I feel like my kitchen galley is too heavy. Yeah, I have a lot of weight on my truck now. I'm going to have to redo my leaf packs in the rear because I have way too much. Andrew says, I had a rooftop tent and sold it. I liked it, but wanted something more. Yeah, and they're expensive too, right? So like, if you want to spend $1,500 to $2,000, that's a lot of money. You could buy a pretty decent trailer for that, right? And then make your own rooftop tent for $150. Malesia says, I used 3/4 inch wood and should have used 1/2 inch. Yep. Malesia says, Ozarks are wanting for you. Yes, I am wanting for them. Carlos says, RTTs are cool and everything, but the MPGs, wind noise, top weight. I currently have a Coleman 4-person pop-up and probably getting a Gazelle T3 hub tent. Yeah, I think that's the one I was looking at. They're nice. Waiting. Either way works, Malesia. Ozarks are wanting for you, waiting for you. Either way, it's fine. Hey, Kyle. Good to have you here. He says, my first real trip, I bought the whole Coleman camp and cooler. What a pain to set up, cook, clean, and pack. Next trip, I didn't bring them. A Whisper Light, freeze dried, and warm Gatorades. Yeah, I mean that's I was like super simple in the kitchen stuff can get crazy, right? Like by the time you get a scuttle and all this stuff, like you can get a lot of camp gear. I have, and I think it's down here. Here, I'll grab it. So you guys saw my review of this bag, this last US Bags Happy Camper bag. This thing is a lifesaver. So for kitchen stuff, I literally have packed this whole thing. So you can see how big this thing is. It's got a big zipper in the middle. It opens up, and then it's got more room in the middle for stuff. But like, I've got all my pots down here. I've got all my utensils, or not utensils, but mess kits are up here. I've got my like big long utensils bags, like my knives, my spatulas, like my cooking accessory stuff. And then down here, I've got all my like knives and forks and spoons. And then this stuff is like miscellaneous, like hand sanitizer and hand wipes and stuff like that. But like before, it was such a pain. Like I had these big Plano crates and stuff full of stuff. I built that drawer system and I immediately filled up like half of it with cooking stuff. And it's heavy and you can't find it and bounces around. So now that I have this bag, I pack in my basement when I'm not on trips, and then when I'm ready to go, I grab that in my backpack and I throw it in the truck and I'm good to go. So yeah, let me catch up on everything here. 14 miles per gallon would be fantastic. Yeah, Power Wagon, probably a little less than that, but you also have a Power Wagon on 37s, bro. Like you'd smoke me in it, you know? Yeah, the Gazelle tents are really nice. Like I don't know a ton about them, but I engaged with them recently. They had some giveaway and somebody tagged me and they ended up sending me a patch, which was really cool. But so then I started following them, right? Like that was the whole thing. You have to follow them. And I've started looking at those tents, and then I've talked to like 4 or 5 people that have them and they all love them. So I'm not endorsed by them or anything, but if they want to give me a free one, I would happily do a review of it. But they do seem like really good quality tents. Carlos says he gets 17 on the highway. I mean, I'll take that. That's not bad at all. I used to get 24 before mods. Oh God. So see, we do this because we love it, not because it's smart, right, Carlos? Curtis says, I want to reach out to Gazelle Tent and see if they would do a group buy deal. Do it. You know, they seem like just normal, like down to earth people. So I'm sure they'd probably at least talk to you maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of surprised. I reach out to companies sometimes just to see like, hey, I have a YouTube channel and like, I'd love to review stuff. Like the tent that I used for my rooftop tent is a $40 tent. And I reached out to that company and I was like, hey, look, it's a $40 tent. Like, I don't mind buying it and I don't want to seem cheap, but like, if you would consider giving it to me, like I will do a review on it and I'll put you as a sponsor on some videos. Never replied to me. So some of these companies like they just don't care, or they must get hit with messages all the time, you know? Airbag the Xterra. Yeah, I've thought about that. I just, you know, it's a 2005. So it is over 15 years old now. And I'm pretty sure it's on the original leafs in the rear. And I've added an overleafed helper spring just to kind of lift them up. And it got me about an inch and a half back out of them. But that was like a year and a half or two ago. And it's starting to sag again, especially now with all that extra weight, the drawer system and the rooftop tent. So like a full leaf pack, an HD leaf pack from like General Spring is like $500, which is, I mean, it's not nothing, but it's like, if I can spend $500 and basically just pull a couple pins and, you know, replace the whole thing and have brand new rear suspension, like I've already got the brand new coilovers basically in the front. So I feel like it would be a really good setup. Like it'd be worth the investment, right? And that's an easy job to do myself. So, yeah, I'll look at I've thought about the airbags. I'm just kind of like, replace the whole thing, right? It might just be easier. I probably need to do it. Curtis says the best comment so far in the chat. I feel like a Scottle is the man bun of the overlanding world. I'm gonna steal that. I'll quote you, but I'm gonna use it. Like that's amazing. Here, I'm gonna take a screenshot right now because that's amazing. I feel, you know, I went camping with a buddy like a couple months ago before all this stuff started, and he had a Scottle. He had a handmade Scottle, like one of those like discs from a tractor or whatever that he had repurposed into a Scottle. And I was super impressed. Like I've always been cheap and just used my little like $20 set of pots and pans, you know, from Amazon. But this Scottle, man, he made biscuits on the thing. He made like stir fry. It was amazing. And I was just like, dude, you make it look so easy because of the way it spreads the heat, right? It just seems to work really well. So, but again, the more that you get into that stuff, then you've got just so many accessories and all these things you got to bring with you. It's just, again, I know it makes me sound lazy. But it's not even about laziness. It's about just like the storage of it. And like, would I rather just like bring some Lunchables with me, you know, for lunch and then like some hamburgers and hot dogs for dinner and not have to bring as much? I'm kind of going away from that now and starting to get into where I want to cook more. But even so, I still kind of just preferred like canned stuff, like canned chili, plop it out into a pot and warm it up and then you're eating, right? Or ramen and mashed potatoes or something like that. Hey, Kaz, what's up, man? Good to have you. Curtis says, awesome bag. That bag is awesome. I tell you, like full transparency, right? So I interviewed Will Messia, who's one of the co-founders of Last Bag, and really super interesting dude. He's a Tacoma guy. He has a really sweet do-it-yourself rooftop tent that he built. His is way cooler than mine, like way better quality than mine anyways. And like just super cool, laid back guy. And like, we didn't talk about anything. He just hit me up and said, hey, I saw one of your videos and would you ever consider doing an interview? He was the first I ever did. I'd never even thought about interviewing people before. He actually suggested it. And now since then, I've done a handful of them, but he was just a super cool guy that has been in the industry for like 20 plus years. Last US Bag's been around for about 20 years. And so then after the interview, I randomly, like a couple weeks later, my wife was like, hey, you have a big box on the porch. And I'm like, what? I haven't ordered anything. And I go out and I pick up this box and it says like Last US Bags on it. And I'm like, Will, you bastard. And I open this thing up and it has these like 3 bags in it and they are so cool. Like, you know, and I don't know if I should say this or not on live chat. Like, I haven't met the Blue Ridge Overland Gear guys. They look like awesome guys and I'm sure their stuff is awesome too, right? have no experience and or problems with any of their stuff. I think I might be in a fight with them. I'm not sure. So a common practice on YouTube is like to like name your video, right? Like gear review, last US bags, happy camper. And then in parentheses, you put things related to that, right? So if someone's searching for something similar, you want them to find that. So like I put like overlanding bags, comma, Blue Ridge, comma, Blue Ridge overlanding bags, like that kind of stuff. And then like all of a sudden, like a month or two after I posted those videos, like I got like 3 comments in a row on the three videos from the Blue Ridge overland guys. And like the first one was like, hey, we have squirrels that are watching your videos, and it said Blue Ridge Overland gear, and there was no Blue Ridge Overland gear in this video, and we're very disappointed. And I was like, oh crap. And so I was like, hey, I would love to have some, like it looks really great, and I'm sure it's great quality. And then I scroll down, and the next one's like, hey, we found another one, and you mentioned us again, and we're not in this video. And then the third one is like, we're watching you. You need to take our name out of your videos. So now I'm like, oh my God, I just pissed off this awesome brand, right? That I would love to like talk to and like buy their stuff. And like, so I don't know, guys, like if the Blue Ridge, I doubt they are, but if the Blue Ridge Overlanding guys are watching this, please don't hate me. Like I mean nothing by it. I was just trying to like get my videos out there, right? So yeah, so I hope that they don't hate me, and I hope that if they find this video that they like would message me. I've been liking all their stuff like religiously on Instagram and YouTube and like everything, like an apology, like I'm trying to make it up to them. I don't know if it's working or not, but anyway, so that was my bad, Blue Ridge Overland guys. But the last US bags are really cool. Like they're really nice things. All right, so jumping back to the comments now that I've totally my chances of ever getting Blue Ridge Overland gear. Curtis says simple burner and a cast iron pan will do almost anything you need. That's true. I have one cast iron pan. I have a really tough time keeping it seasoned because I'm an idiot. I think I don't think it's super hard, but I just always feel like it gets dusty and dirty, and then I have to clean the whole thing out and start over. And it's just not something that I'm an expert at, but I have used it a few times. It's slow to heat up, but then it is really nice the way that it just holds the heat. I like doing like meat in it. Sounds weird, but like sausages and stuff work really well in that. I just have those cheap little pots, and I recently got a griddle. I got a griddle that fits perfectly on the 2-burner stove, and I haven't used it yet, but I'm using it this weekend. I'm going to go camping one way or another. I'm going camping. And I'm going to use it this weekend. So that's the plan. We'll see how that works. Okay. Carlos says the Gazelle T3 went up from 175 to 230 in a few weeks because of the virus. And Curtis says, I saw that. Brett says, I use cast iron 2 on fire and a single burner stove. Curtis says, I know they go to Overland Expo. I bet they have a show deal there. Blue Ridge is super pricey, says Brett Robinson. I know that, and that's kind of my thing, right? Like I actually mentioned them in a couple of the videos, and no ill feelings at all here either. But like they're one of the first ones I thought of, right? So when these, so Last US Bags does not sell these labels for their bags, but they have the Velcro strip on it, so it can receive them, but like they just don't sell the patches. So I'm cheap, so I started doing research, and I went to Blue Ridge Overland first because they're the big name, right? And I looked, and they have pre-made ones. There's no like customization. You just have to pick from like the list that they have, but their patches are $8 each, and they don't have free shipping until you spend like 50 or $100 or something, which again, not unreasonable, right? Like there's nothing wrong with that. But I just looked at that and I'm like, oh man, that's going to cost me. There are 5 patch spots on this bag. So that bag is like a $94 bag. I was going to have to spend another $40 on patches for the thing. And I was like, that's just silly. So I went on Amazon, and I found a company that does 2 of them for $6.99 with free shipping. So you can get a pair of them for $7, and you can customize them. So you give them your text. And now the thing about it is, the trick is you have to do 2 at a time. So like you can't say like, I want 2 patches, but I want one to say utensils and one to say cooking gear. They both have to say the same thing. So like I put cooking for a couple, so I had to be thoughtful about it, right? But like they did an all things overlanding one. I did 2 utensils, but then like I used one of these on one of my other bags. And so like you just have to be smart about the way that you do them. But like $7 with free shipping versus $8 a piece with limited stuff that you can get, you know, like it's just being a cheap person. Like it just doesn't make sense to me to pay more than twice as much. So, all right, Cause says, haha. It says cook off at Overland Expo East. that thing better happen. I've never been to one of the Overland Expos, but I want to go to East this year. Are any of you guys going to East this year? If you are, post up in the comments and let me know. Cause says, working on why we cook on shovels. That's pretty cool. I think I've heard of that before, but my shovel's filthy. So a pan would make life so nice. This dude's cooking on shovels. All right, Cause, you're a man. Curtis says, they are pricey. I worked at a company that designed military nylon gear made in-house. Big markup on their gear from cost. Not faulting them, but it's definitely a lot of margin in those bags. I know, it's like, and we all know that, right? Anytime you throw the word overlanding on any piece of gear, like the price just goes up. So like if you were buying, like, I'm trying to think of something that's like not platform, but like coolers, used to be able to go to like a Walmart or a something, a Target or something, and find like a really nice, like I have it's a Coleman Extreme 53 quart. I might be making that number up, but I have like a pretty good size Coleman Extreme, which is one of those that's it'll hold ice. That thing will literally hold ice. Now it's huge, so there's a lot of ice, right? But I've had that thing out for like 4 days at a time. Like when we went to West Virginia, I took that cooler, and I think I bought ice once on the trip and dumped it in on top, and it kept ice that whole time. And that thing's like a $50 or $60 cooler. But then like Yeti comes out and they're like, hey, Overlanders, look what we got, $400. We got a bucket for $100. So again, I just, I know I'm cheap, but like, I just think that it's such a racket, right? So that's why I always try and find stuff for you guys that's like, hey, I did a bunch of research. Like I spent a whole night looking for these identity patches, but I found something, and here's where it is, and here's where you should go and buy it because it's half the price of everything else, right? Like why? It just doesn't make sense. Like if I bought a $400 cooler, that's my rooftop tent that I built myself. That's my drawer system right there, just in a cooler. My cooler that I have is a rotiform cooler, and it's a Chinese knockoff basically of a Yeti, but it was like $120. Now I will say the straps immediately broke on it. Like within like a month, the rubber straps just broke in half. But for $12 on Amazon, there are these replacements that people literally, I just went and I searched and I found like a YouTube video and it said, go to Amazon and get these straps. And I went and I looked at them and it had like hundreds of reviews and they were like, and I've had them on my cooler for like 2 years now. And they're perfect. They still work fine. It was $12. So like still way less than a Yeti cooler, right? All right. So Curtis says he's getting tickets to Expo East this week. That's cool. Never been before, going to camp with the Overland Bound crew. That's pretty cool. Andrew says, I wish I was going. I've wanted to go Overland Expo for years. Yeah, me too. Like I've just never gotten to go, but there's nothing stopping me this year. Once things open up, like I feel like all these expos are going to be packed with people. Curtis says Overland Bound group is going to do a cook-off on Saturday night. Curtis says, don't hate on my Yeti. I feel triggered. Sorry, Snowflake. I'm just kidding. I'm losing subscribers tonight is what I'm doing. Oh, he got his 60% off. So I mean that, I'm sure the quality of yours is better than mine, right? As he signs off chat and just starts leaving hate mail for me on my Facebook page. Cool. All right, good chat. We've gotten way off track here, guys, but it's fun. This is the freestyle way, right? So we talked about trips. Last couple things. So because we're getting up on an hour now, which I mean, I can do this all night if you guys want to, but one last piece of gear that I want to show you. I literally just got it today and I'm taking it on my trip this weekend. Have you guys heard of, I've never been this excited about a toilet. Have you guys heard of the Blackpine Sport Turbo Toilet? Have you heard of this thing? Apparently, like the company is out of business. Like I went to their website and I tried to order this thing and it just broke. Like the whole ordering process broke and I couldn't order the thing. And I emailed the company and I was like, hey, I'm trying to buy this toilet from you. And it's just freezing up on my error. It won't let me submit an order. And the response I got was like, yeah, the website doesn't work. You got to find it on Amazon or Overstock. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. And I go to Amazon and there's none available. So I went to overstock.com and got this bad boy. And they had a coupon, like 15% off. So it was like $45. If you don't know what this thing is, you need to, I will put a description or a link in the description of this video once it posts and I can edit it to these things because this thing, so I have been using the 5-gallon bucket with the plastic lid on it. And it's tiny because it's the size of a 5-gallon bucket. So, I mean, not to get too graphic, but if you're a guy, you got to kind of fit everything in there and it's not comfortable. It's not great. Plus, it's a 5-gallon bucket. So it's, you know, like, you can't see all my hand, but it's like that tall, and it takes up a ton of room, and it clatters and smacks around in the back. And as you've seen from all my stuff, my drawers, my rooftop tent, I'm trying to get as much stuff out of the rig as possible, right? This thing is like 3 inches thick. And it's, you can see how big it is. So, I mean, it's way bigger than a 5-gallon. I mean, a 5-gallon bucket, I feel like, is like that maybe. Check this thing out. So I'm not going to go through it. I'm going to do a review of this before too long, but this is what it looks like, and it is freaking amazing. Now we're talking about toilets, guys. This is what you signed up for. It looks like this. It has 4 heavy-duty hinges in it, and it basically expands out, and you lock these hinges in place. It'll hold 330 pounds, but it folds flat. I know, I'm really excited about toilets, but like, this thing is cool, and it's like $50. So $50 for a toilet's a little bit, but I paid $20 for the toilet seat and bought a 5-gallon bucket separate, and it sucks. So now I've got this thing. I'm going to keep it in the truck, like beside the drawer system, so I always have it. If I'm stuck in traffic and I have to poop, I'm good. It's one less thing to think about. It's one less thing to, you know, that is a detrimental thing to forget. If you go out on a trip and you forget your toilet, you are screwed. But so now I'll always have it on me, right? So I'm super excited. So watch for a review on that. That is coming for sure. Now I'm going to get off the toilet talk, and we're going to talk about plans. So, you know, they're starting to open up some of these states. Honestly, I kind of feel like it's a little early, and I don't think everybody's just going to rush out anyways. But like, at the same time, though, being an overlander / camper, right? Like, it is kind of silly. You see all those memes all the time, and I'm sure that I'm going to hear both sides of this here, but where it shows like a Walmart parking lot, right? With Brett, I'm not saying it holds. Here, I have to allow your comment. I'm not saying it holds 330 pounds worth of poop. I'm saying 330 pounds worth of my fat ass. You can set 330 pounds on top of it, for clarity. No, I'm not going to do a live demo when I do the toilet review. I'll sit on it, though. I'll video myself sitting on it so you can see that it'll hold my fat butt. Anyways, moving forward. We're moving past the toilet talk, guys. So like, as this all starts to free up, you know, we've seen those memes that are like the Walmart parking lots or the Kroger, you know, grocery store parking lots packed full of cars, and says this is okay. And then like the one person like out in the middle of nowhere saying that. And I mean, like, you know, while I definitely don't want to contribute to the spread of COVID or anything like that, like I tell you what, not to like take it too somber here, but like I had I'm a part of this board here locally where we like do like marketing stuff, and we had a chat the other night, like a Zoom meeting, and this one gal got on, and like, she was new and we never talked to her, and super nice lady, and she lost her job. So the economy shut down. She got laid off like a couple months ago, and then her husband got COVID in March, and like, they're in their like 50s or 60s, and like, he was in the hospital for like 12 days, and then he's been out since. So he was in there for 12 days from the beginning of March. It is now almost May. And she said he still like has trouble breathing, and they have to like take walks. So like, this is serious stuff, right? Like, so I'm by no means saying like everybody run out, but like, again, I'm going to go camping this weekend. I've done it once since this whole thing started, like right at the beginning when it first started. I can make it from my house to Hoosier National Forest and back to my house without even stopping for gas. I will see no one. I will go straight down there to a site, and I will set up. It'll just be my son and I, and we'll go camping, and then we'll drive back. So I think that that's okay, right? And I mean, great, that's what I'm doing, right? So of course I feel like it's okay. If I didn't, I wouldn't do it. But what do you guys think about like that? Like, so as things start to free up, so let's say like in a month, let's say like the beginning of June, hopefully by then we've some sort of a lock on it, or we can at least open things up to where we still have to maybe wear masks and not touch stuff and use hand sanitizer and be socially distant and all that stuff. But could we at least have like some camping trips? Like, so when that happens, what are your plans? Like, what's the first thing you're going to do? Where are you going to go? What are your trips that you're planning? And while I'm waiting for you guys to pipe up there in the comments, I'll tell you, I literally, and I've mentioned this a couple times, but I had a buddy and we had a plan to go to Kentucky, to go to the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway. And that was our plan. And we were literally about to go when they started to shut stuff down. So we had to cancel that trip. So that is my plan. Like, as soon as this stuff opens up enough, and like Kentucky opens back up, because they're pretty much shut down right now. As soon as they open up, like, that's my first plan, is like to take a weekend trip and go get some cool videos, some cool footage, do some cool trails that I've never done before, camp in some cool, beautiful places, and do the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway. So what are your plans? What are you guys thinking when this stuff opens back up? Cause says, so Cause, for those of you that don't know, Quasmon in here is the one that made, I don't have my drone up here, but he made 3D printed the little clips for my rotors for my drone, which was super cool of him. So thank you again, Cause. But he's out west where it's beautiful, not Indiana. And so he says Colorado is opening up soon, and the stay-at-home orders are lifting. So good for you. You can get out to that beautiful place. Carlos says $50. I might as well buy a collapsible hamper and put a bag inside in exchange for the turbo toilet. Yeah, it's pretty well priced, I thought. Mo Leisure says they're going straight to Acadia National Park. So you guys are out east, right? Like New Yorkish area. Those guys, by the way, Mo Leisure X Ventures, they have an Xterra. So if you like Xterra stuff, go find them on Instagram. I think, have you guys hit 600 subscribers yet? Like, you've been flying in increasing subscribers, but they have a cool channel. They were doing a cross-country trip before everything got shut down. So definitely check them out. Curtis says Adventure X Fest in Virginia. Virginia's beautiful. In September with Mountain State Overland. Do you know the Mountain State Overland guys, Curtis? They seem cool. Like, I follow them. They were one of the first channels that I ever watched before I ever had my Xterra. They kind of got me into overlanding, and I was like, dude, I did not know that Virginia had this cool trail systems and this cool stuff. So I'd love to meet those guys, maybe at Expo or something. Brett says, I'll probably just wait till fall and make a run up to North Carolina for a week or two. Yeah, I've heard good stuff about the Carolinas. That hiking guy says, hey, everyone. Hey, hiking guy. What's up, man? Says he's in North Carolina. Brett, I'm in North Carolina. Mo says, yes, sir. Brett says, I'm in South Carolina. Okay, well, there you go. You guys are neighbors almost. Okay, Curtis doesn't know them personally. They're just hosting the event. That's so cool, though. I'd love to go to that. I think I might be going to, if you guys are familiar with the Keweenaw Overland Adventure Retreat, it's up north, the Northern Peninsula in Michigan. That happens in September, and I was supposed to go last year, and I was supposed to go the year before, and I haven't made it yet. And Cindy, one of the people that founded it, has given me grief for like 2 years. And this year I was like, I told her I was going to come, and then my wife planned a trip to like the Dominican Republic on the exact same days as that event. And so I had to tell Cindy again, I was like, hey, I can't come this year. And she was super mad. But now the travel's canceled, like, we don't even have our tickets anymore. Like, we got rid of everything. So I don't think we're going on that trip. So I may go to Core in September. I've heard it's a really cool event. So I'm pretty excited about that. Overland Pioneer did a video for them, and he goes on that every year and just says it's a ton of fun. All right, probably be stuck working until next year, says Andrew. Yep, Andrew works for, wait, which manufacturer is it, Andrew? Why am I blanking? Is it Chrysler that you work for? That would make sense with your truck, but I don't know why I'm thinking Chevy, but I don't think that's right. But Andrew works for a car manufacturer, and he's been furloughed forever. No, Curtis, not quinoa like the food. Keweenaw, I don't know how to spell it. Keweenaw something. It's the Keweenaw Peninsula, maybe? I don't know. But if you look up Core, Koar, that's the Core Overland Adventure Retreat. You'll find it. But it's really cool. Like, it's like a small community feel. But like, from everything that I've heard, it's just awesome. GM, that's what I thought. Okay, that's what I thought. I always thought it was weird that you drove a Dodge but worked for GM. Curtis says that he checked out Overland Pioneer. Yeah, Overland Pioneer, like, his stuff is so cool. Jeremiah is a cool dude, and he's like an actual professional like videographer and photographer. He does really cool stuff. Like, he would probably know how to actually start a live stream, unlike me. So you should definitely check out his stuff because it's way better than mine. But he's a cool dude. He's sponsored by a beer company, which I am really working on. If anybody knows somebody that owns like a small brewery that's looking for a very small investment to get a lot of exposure, like, I will literally mention them on every video I do for the rest of my life if they'll give me like 2 or 3 cases a month worth of beer. Like, that's the exchange. I don't need any cash. I'm not looking for any of that. If you give me some free beer, I'll hand it out to people. I'll talk it up. I'll put it on all the videos, all my social channels. It has to make sense for someone financially. So, Mo Leisure says we made it to the East Coast right before everything got shut down. Currently quarantined in Cape Cod. That's not a bad place. Enjoying the beaches here, but itching to continue our trip to all the national parks. I know what you mean. Just wanted to mention. All right, thanks, Curtis. Carlos says anyone in Utah, so feel free to hit him up there. Cool. All right, so we've talked about our plans and stuff. That is cool. I don't want to keep you guys all night, so I'm going to try and wrap it up here. Even though this is a lot of fun, I could go all night. So I just wanted to kind of end it with this is your guys' show, right? Again, I've definitely at length been self-deprecating about myself and that I'm just a normal guy and I'm cheap and I like to try and find cool stuff that doesn't cost a ton of money. But so that's what I kind of wanted this live stream to turn into too, is where it's not, I don't ever want it to be me coming in and telling you guys how to overland or talking about how much I know, right? Because we all learn from each other. I've made mistakes, tons of mistakes, and I can't start a live stream, right? Obviously. So, but that's how we learn, right? So I would love it if you guys would post up your questions and your thoughts. And I'd love to make this a recurring thing, every Thursday night where we just kind of hang out and we have a chat like this and we talk about overlanding stuff. And right now we can't go anywhere. So that kind of sucks. So this gives us an outlet for that. But even after that, even once we get going, then that'll give us more stuff to talk about, right? We'll be able to talk about cool obstacles we overcame. We'll be able to talk about cool obstacles we overcome or cool trips that we took or cool gear that we bought or, a cool video that we saw that somebody else made, right? So I want this to be about you guys, right? So Andrew says, go on as long as you want. I don't have shit else to do. You're not working, right? So Curtis says, what's the wall behind you? So that was a gift from my wife for Christmas. So I talk about beer several times. You've seen me drink beer. I might be an alcoholic guy. I'm not sure. I don't think I am. I've been 3 days sober. I just bought beer yesterday. But I haven't had beer since Saturday night. I was fine for 3 days. But this thing is it's an Indiana shaped bottle cap holder, basically. So the idea is, you get bottles from all the different breweries in Indiana. Now I have stuff from Michigan and stuff in here too, because I drink everything. But and then you fill it up with the bottle cap. So you can see I don't drink a lot of bottles. I mostly drink cans now, or go and get growlers of stuff from local breweries. But you just put your caps in here and then you fill up the state. So it's just a cool decorative thing. It kind of shows that I'm from Indiana so that people know that. And it was a gift from my wife, so gets me some brownie points for her. Idea for podcasting question from Curtis. What is your plan for getting help if you get stuck out on a trip when by yourself? That's a fantastic question. I don't have a plan. The winch is my plan. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to be hiking, right? And is that good advice? No. Don't do what I am saying. I try to let people know when I'm going to an area, and at the same time too, I'm kind of a creature of habit. And so the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway, right? That is a place I've never been before. It's a place I want to go. When I go by myself, there are a lot of Kentucky groups down there. So as long as I have some reception, I could hit up someone on a Facebook group and probably get pulled out. I do a lot of research beforehand to try and figure it out. So here in Indiana, there's nothing that I can get stuck in. It's all just gravel roads and stuff. I mean, an off-road park maybe, but I wouldn't go to those by myself anyways. But so I think that with enough planning, you can be careful, and with being careful too, there's some times where you might just be let's go see how deep that is. And for me, especially if I'm by myself, I'm I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bypass it, or I'm going to turn around and go back, or I'm going to test it. And if I think I can get through it, I'm pretty confident that I may try it, but I'm going to make sure that there's trees around, there's something to winch from. I'll have the, everything ready to go, have the plug out and everything and be ready. But that's a great question. I mean, there's, Chad, I'm sure could tell you a lot about that, because I know that I've seen Chad from Overland Addict. He's got a ton of those cool, little GPS beacons and stuff where you can communicate basically anywhere, even if you don't have cell reception. So there are a lot of options for that, and that is a good podcast. Maybe you should come on the show sometime and I'll interview you, and then you can tell us about your cool store, overlandaddicts.com. And you could talk about recovery stuff and those beacon things, because that is not something that I'm super up on, right? I don't have all the cool stuff because it's too expensive for me. But that's a great idea. Thanks, Curtis. Cause says self-recovery tips. Yeah, that's good. That sounds awesome. Alcoholics go to meetings. Yes, I don't go to meetings. See, I'm fine with it. I just enjoy beer, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Curtis says, is this what this is? Overlanding Drinkers Anonymous. Now I've just destroyed everything, right? YouTube isn't even going to air this. Got to roll, guys. All right, Brett. Good seeing you. Let's do this again soon. I'll post rigs on ATO Facebook. All right, thanks, Brett. Yeah, I'll make a post after this. So definitely, if you were in this chat, hit me up on the Facebook page and post pictures of your rigs. I'd love to see them. Curtis says, I know Overland Bound has a specific section for people who go on trips, and if they get stuck, can post they need help. The caveat is you need to have internet connection, right? So if you have internet connection, then you could probably get in touch with somebody to get you out, right? I know we have a group here in Indiana called Midwest Recovery or something like that I'm a part of, and people post up there if they get stuck, like on private property or something and need help. But yeah, that's a great idea. So maybe Chad hit me up and maybe we can talk about that. So cool. All right. Well, yeah, let's do this. So I'm gonna wrap it up and let you guys go for the night. So and that way I can drink more beer and then you guys can be done listening to me talk forever. But I appreciate you guys all stopping by. So what I'll do is I'll go over to the Facebook page and I will post up, like I said, asking for pictures of your rigs and stuff, and we can continue the conversation over there. But yeah, definitely, I love it if you guys post up. Again, I want to make this about you guys. So I would love to hear like what you want to talk about, next week. And then let's make it about that. I'll put together some show notes and kind of some ideas for what we can kind of hit on. And then we'll just freestyle it, right? We'll just talk about it, give you guys exactly what you want. Thanks, Curtis. And so let's do something like that. So yeah, if you don't follow me on Facebook, definitely go over there. I'm on Instagram too. As you know, I'm on YouTube. I don't know how to work it, but I'm on it. And then I'm on overlandradio.com as well. And I'm on podcasts too. So anywhere you want to check me out, feel free. But yeah, hit me up, join the conversation on other channels, and we'll talk to you guys next time. So thanks for coming, and have a good night. Bye.